All right, everybody, we want to talk about predictability. It's one of the best things you're ever going to be able to get in your business for your well-being and the overall success of your company. So why does predictability matter? Well, the greatest advantage in business is creating a predictable revenue stream. You have a predictable way of getting clients. You have a predictable way of fulfilling the service, and you don't have very many fires. You have as few fires as possible. So if you can build something like that, what you have is you're given a lot of peace of mind. You're not stressed out. You're not worried about just getting the day-to-day done. And when you're not worried about executing on the day-to-day, now we get to think about the fun stuff, which is expansion. How do I expand? How do I grow? How do I get more trucks? How do I expand geographically? Maybe how do I add a new service? How do I gain market share? How do I do a better job for our clients? How do I take care of my employees better so they're happier and they in turn take care of our clients better? How do we refine our sales, making sure we're providing a great service, but getting as much money as possible for that service ethically? How do you do all that stuff so ultimately you as a business owner can make the largest profit so you get to take care of your family in the best way possible? Predictability will give you that peace of mind to tap into that inner strength and that inner ambition that you have to go out and do those things. If you have an unpredictable business, if you're constantly putting out fires and dealing with a lot of stress on just the day to day, it's going to squash that. It's going to squash that desire, that entrepreneurial spirit, at least from time to time. A lot of times that spirit for a true entrepreneur will break back out. But if every few months or every year or every so often that's getting squashed and you just want to curl up and go in a hole and you want to retract and get smaller, that's holding you back. You must have predictability. With a junk removal business, trucks are one of the things that are the largest source of unpredictability, just about trucks and employees. So trucks and employees, and we're not going to touch on employees at the moment, but there is a way of making sure that your employees are much more predictable. And if you take care of the trucks, you take care of the employees, and they're both predictable, now you're really going to be able to grow. So when we first started Junk Doctors, right now we're currently running, I think we've got 14 trucks in our fleet. At one point it was 17. We've sold a few and retired a few. We're replaced a lot, but we're at about 14 trucks right now that we will run at any given point. The first 6 trucks we purchased were used. So I had never financed a vehicle before in my entire life, and I had absolutely no credit history at all. So when we first got started, we went with used vehicles rather than new. And at that time, we were paying anywhere from about $15,000 to $25,000, and they would have anywhere from 80,000 to 140,000 miles. And for the most part, they were good generally for the first year, 18 months, maybe 2 years. And then you'd start just having problems. Every time you turn around, you had a truck down and it was getting repaired. And every time that truck goes down, it's not just the repair cost you have. Now you got to go to Penske. You got to rent a truck. Now you got to pay a tow bill to get it back to your repair facility. Your guys are not very happy for having to work out of a rental truck, and they hate that they broke down on the side of the road and they had to wait for a tow truck to actually come and get them. You got a lot more exposure when they're broken down on the side of the road too, because it's always in an inconvenient spot, a dangerous spot. So you're giving your employees a lot of extra exposure there that they don't like, and you shouldn't like either, because if something ever happens, it would not be good for your business, obviously. And then that rental truck, when you take it off to your customer, it looks so unprofessional. Now, most of the time you do it, and as long as you do a good job, maybe they call you back, but not necessarily. And by the way, when that truck's driving around, because a lot of times when these things break, you're down a week, 2 weeks by the time the parts come in, by the time they work you into the repair, by the time they get you out. I'd say generally it's a minimum 3 days, unless you have your own in-house mechanic. But most of you guys with buying used vehicles don't have an in-house mechanic. You haven't quite gotten to that size yet. So you've got all this downtime. You've got 3 days or a week or 2 weeks. Your truck's driving around, no graphics on it. So there's no telling what jobs you're missing out of. And you figure your average job size, most people's around $500 now. So let's say over the course of 2 weeks, you miss out on 2 jobs. There's $1,000 there. Let's say the mechanic bill is $2,000, $2,500, which is, you can easily drop that now on repairing a vehicle, repairing a commercial truck. You've got a rental bill of $150, $200 a day plus fuel. It's going to take you longer to do it. You're going to get less jobs. When you get less jobs, that means the lifetime value of that client is a lot. You're missing out on the lifetime value client. Not only are you missing out on the direct income, you're missing out on all the income that person would ever bring you again because they're going to go to their competition. All the referrals, all the online reviews, all that you're missing out on because you don't have the capacity because you're having to hand unload stuff and it's taking you a lot longer because you're in a Penske rental truck. And by the way, your guys hate it. And once you start having a bunch of used vehicles, if you build your fleet on used vehicles, every time you turn around, there's going to be a vehicle down. Every time you turn around, your guy's going to be breaking down on the side of the road. I know this because I've seen it and I've lived it personally. You get to about 3 of these things, 2, 3 of them, every time you turn around, there's going to be one that's getting fixed. And if you only have one, it breaks down less. But when it breaks down, it's a bigger deal because you got no backups in place. So you have to go through this entire process that I'm just talking about. So why do people not want to go new? Well, one, the price tag scares them. The $95,000 it costs, $95,000 it costs for a new truck is not an expense. That is an investment in your business. And if you're starting in a business and you have the intention of going to 7 figures and 8 figures, the worst thing you can do is start out on the wrong foot. The worst thing you can do is start out with a vehicle that is going to be giving you issues right from the very beginning. The guys that get started and they have a new truck, they're going to be able to roll predictably. They're going to be able to focus on growth. They're going to be able to focus on delivering the best possible service for their customer. They don't have to deal with the negativity, the downtime, and the expense of a vehicle breaking down. Plus, from a morale standpoint from your employees, they love new vehicles. They love the new vehicle smell. They love the air conditioning works great. They love it doesn't rattle when it goes down the road. Your customers love it too. Your prospective or your possible customers, your prospects, love it as well. You get noticed more as you see the thing go down the road. It's just a much more professional experience. This maybe doesn't apply if you're one of the people that think you can just start this as a side hustle. You used to be able to. This business is not a business to start as a side hustle. So if you're getting into this business, you must have pretty big, good ambitions. You want to get to 7 figures, 8 figures. You want to build a real business. You don't want just to have a side hustle or even a primary hustle. You don't expect to be on the truck all the time. You expect to get to $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million a year in sales. You expect to make several $100,000 a year take home, eventually $1 million plus. That's your expectation. Don't have these lofty goals and crush it right at the very beginning by going with a used vehicle. So here's the deal, guys. You're either going to pay the mechanic or you're going to pay the bank. You pay the bank, you're probably going to wind up paying less, especially once you factor in all these other factors we just went over, and you're going to be happier. Everybody, your employees are going to be happier. Your business is going to be more predictable. Now, here's a little tip. Have a replacement fund. You have a separate bank account, and every week you move over a certain amount of money and you figure out what does it cost you in depreciation of that truck if you want to replace that truck every 5 years, and you funnel that amount of money into an account. You determine what is your, what can you sell this vehicle for? What's your residual? Most junk removal trucks, if you buy a junk removal truck through STB, Specialty Truck Bodies, it's a new Isuzu. You go 5 years, you put 200,000 or so miles on it. That thing's going to be worth between about $20,000 and $25,000. So you're going to have, let's just call it 80 grand that you need to make up in the next 5 years if you want to pay cash for your next vehicle. Normally what you're talking about there is about $20 a job, $17 to $20 a job. If you take that and you put it into an account at the end of every week and you leave it alone, you don't take that money out to buy a new truck to expand. You don't take it out for marketing expenses. You don't take it out for operational expenses. This goes back to the old Mike McAllowitz, pay yourself first in a way. You put it in a replacement fund, and at the end of 5 years, you cut a check for your next truck. We're talking $17 to $20 a jobs, guys. You can do that. You can find a way to make that work. Now, some of you guys are going to want to finance. You'd rather take that money and put it towards marketing, and that's fine. But what you do there is you just figure out what's the amount of money I want to put out on a down payment. And I typically recommend most people try and put down $25,000, $30,000 on the down payment of a vehicle on minimum. It gets you a better interest rate. It gets you more of a controllable payment and less likelihood you're ever upside down and all on that loan, which gives you some backup options and all in place. So what you do at that point is you figure if a new truck, let's say a new truck at that point is 100 grand, and you're going to have a residual of 25,000. So now you're at, let's just call it 20 grand. So you're at 80 grand, and you're going to put $25,000 down. So you just need to figure the 25,000 down that you need to save over that period of time. And that's going to go on top of the trading value. So if you're trading in at 20 and you're saying, I'm going to put another 25 down on cash, well, now you're at 45,000, and you're only having to finance 55,000. Now that payment's completely different. And then over time, you guys can work it. So when you're first getting started, maybe you just plan on financing the next vehicle. And then after that, you plan on going to cash purchases. So you work your way up by changing the down payment you're going to make on your next vehicle. Because as you're growing, you should be adding trucks for expansion too, not just replacement. So that's a little tip. Have a truck replacement fund. Do not touch it. Move the money over every week. Associate a per job value, a flat rate of generally $15 to $20. I'll say 17 to 20 if you want to be more precise, depending on your area. That should put you in a pretty good position to be able to pay cash on your next vehicle if you want it. Guys, think big here. A lot of you guys are thinking big. You're ambitious, but when it comes down to making the tough decisions, you cower. A new truck is a tough decision. The first time I had to sign a note on a truck at that point, it was, this has been many years ago. It was a $60,000 truck. That was a big deal. You could go buy a pickup truck at that point for probably a really nice one for probably 25,000, 30,000 maybe. So, going to 60 grand, that was a really big deal. I made that move and I've never looked back. I just regret the fact that I didn't get new just as soon as I could. I couldn't have gotten that first one new or that second one new. But once we'd been in business a couple years, we had some money saved up. We had a little bit of credit built up because we'd opened a credit card. On truck 3, I should have gone new. Man, we'd have avoided a lot of headaches and a lot of expense. And we'd have made more money had we gone new. Choose predictability, guys. Don't kill your business off. Don't crush your ambition by having trucks that break down on you all the time. Go new. If we can help you out on a new truck, junkremovaltrucksforsale.com, we'd be happy to do it. I gave you my experience operating a junk removal company here. I took off my hat as a truck salesperson, the builder of the best junk removal truck on the market. I put on my hat as a coach and as a mastermind leader and as an experienced professional of a junk removal business owner. And I gave you the advice that I would give anybody else, whether or not they'd buy a truck from us or not. And I gave you the advice I wish I would have been able to give myself, 10 years ago when we could have bought that third truck brand new. If you guys like this content, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. Also, if you're an elite junk operator and you want to join our exclusive mastermind group that we're putting together, the top independent junk removal operators in the country, you need to be doing at least $500K revenue, ideally 7 figures plus. That's what we're trying to build there. You can head over to junkmastermind.com. We have another in-person event coming up in October. We have great Zoom calls that go on all the time, and interactive Facebook group. I'll be moving over to a school group soon where we talk real business questions, real opportunities, real things to help you grow your profits. And the group members we're assembling are top of notch. They're challenging themselves. They're challenging each other. All those members that join, nobody's at 10 figures yet. I want every single one of you guys that joins to eventually be at 8 figures. So a $10 million a year junk removal company. Check out junkmastermind.com. We're just now assembling this elite group. And if you qualify 500K plus or $1 million plus, head over there. I'd love to talk to you and see if you're going to be a good fit. Thanks for watching, everybody.